Eagle. Welcome to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle, LaPorte County's original social media. Sound Off is a public interest forum that encourages your voice to be heard on the topics and issues impacting our local communities. For the next 30 minutes, we invite you to be part of the conversation by calling 219-362-0522. And you can now text your questions to the Liquor Vault on-air line or by email to soundoff@967theeagle.com. This is a topic-based program, and we ask that you keep your comments brief, concise, and related to the topic being discussed. The views expressed on Sound Off are those of the hosts or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle, Spoon River Media, LLC, or the sponsors. The Liquor Vault on-air line is now open for your calls or texts at 219-362-0522. This is Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Hello, friends. Today is Monday, December 6th, and you're listening to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle. My name is Nate Laux, and it's an honor to be your host today. Last Friday, I'm sure you listened, but if you didn't, we had State Representative Jim Pressel on the show in the studio. He talked about the legislative survey that went out to all voters through the mail. And on that survey, which you can also find on his website and fill out online if you're like me and don't like to send mail back in, there are 5 different questions about bills that will likely be entertained and vote on in the upcoming legislative session that starts in January. So I thought, why not talk about them one by one over the next month or two on Sound Off? It was either talk about that or my love for the new Notre Dame football coach Marcus Freeman and my belief that my Fighting Irish are going to win a championship within the next 3 years. But I didn't think there's much conversation around that. I think we all agree. Thought there would be more conversation on these other topics. So here's my question for you today to discuss, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it. The new Indiana legislative survey is out, asking Hoosiers their opinions on bills that will likely be in front of lawmakers in the upcoming year. One of the questions involves whether school board candidates should declare a political party affiliation to run for office. So you need to be a Democrat or a Republican or a Libertarian to run. The survey question states, quite literally, currently candidates are not required to identify their political affiliations when running to serve on their local school board. Would you support greater election transparency by requiring candidates for these positions to declare their party affiliation? I want to get your opinion on this. What do you think? If you have an opinion on whether or not school boards should be more partisan, call or text the Liquor Vault on-air line at 219-362-0522 or email soundoff@967theeagle.com. I'd love to hear from you today. Particularly, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to show my cards. I don't think this is a good idea. I'd love to hear from somebody that might think this is a good idea or, might have an idea that I'm not thinking about. But while you call and get the phone lines going on this day in history, the Washington Monument was completed. On that day, workers placed the 3,300-pound marble capstone on the Washington Monument and topped it with a 9-inch pyramid of cast aluminum, completing construction of the 555-foot Egyptian obelisk. Nearly 50 years earlier, the Washington National Monument Society chose Robert Mills's design to honor the first American president and founding father, George Washington. The privately funded organization laid the monument's cornerstone on Independence Day 1848 in Washington, D.C. The guest list of that groundbreaking included James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Dolly Madison, and Andrew Hamilton's widow, Betsy Hamilton, and of course the then current President James Polk. For 20 years, lack of funds and loss of support for the Washington National Monument Society left the monument incomplete at the height of about 156 feet. Finally, in 1876, President Ulysses Grant authorized the federal government to finish the construction. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers took over the project 2 years later. When construction was completed in 1884, on this day, the Washington Monument was the world's tallest masonry structure. Today, the approximately 36,000 stacked blocks of granite and marble compose the world's tallest freestanding structure of masonry. In a city of monuments, locals refer to the monument as just simply the monument. By law, District of Columbia building code, it will remain the tallest structure in Washington, D.C., dominating the political and geographic skyline. Now back to the show. The new Indiana legislative survey is out, asking Hoosiers their opinions on bills that will likely be in front of lawmakers in the upcoming year. One of the questions involves whether school board candidates should declare a political party affiliation to run for office. I'm wanting to hear from you today. The survey question states, currently, school board candidates are not required to identify their political affiliation when running to serve on their local school board. Would you support greater election transparency by requiring candidates for these positions to declare their party affiliation? I live in the LaPorte School Corporation. My kids go to LaPorte schools. I could tell you, other than a candidate that's ran for other offices, Jim Arnold, who I believe is independent now, I couldn't tell you what the political affiliation of our school board candidates are, and I kind of like it that way, quite frankly. But I'd love to hear from you. Should this be a more partisan election? Should candidates have to declare their political allegiance to run for office? What do you think? If you have an opinion on this, call or text me. The Liquor Vault the Liquor Vault on air line is 219-362-0522, and you can email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. Let's get to our first caller. Hey, thanks so much for calling. What's your thoughts on partisan school board elections?
Good afternoon.
Hey, buddy.
One quick comment about today in history, though.
Yeah.
80 years ago today, the United States of America was basically at peace until approximately 1:15 tomorrow afternoon Eastern Time, when the air raid sirens went off and Washington got the telegram, air raid Pearl Harbor. This is no drill.
Yeah.
Something just for Americans to remember.
Absolutely. Good reminder there, buddy.
As far as the affiliations, they should not have any, but they do, just like the Supreme Court.
Sure.
There is political affiliations in there. But I would also like to know, from someone who follows local government and sees what's going on in the inside, it would be nice to know their affiliation, so that way if there's any hidden agenda they're taking to the school board, and who's their allegiance to and who they follow. And because one way or another, folks, it is our money. One way you look at it, it is our money, and we should be paying closer attention to how they spend it. So just my thoughts. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for calling, buddy. Let's get to another caller. So we're talking about whether or not school board elections should be partisan. You should have to declare your party, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, whatever else you want to run as. What are your thoughts on this? Should this be more partisan, or should we keep it a nonpartisan election?
I believe we should keep it nonpartisan. I've been on this ramp, I guess, for some time now, because I don't believe that the party system is working anyway. And that would be, just another whole angle or, monster to tackle to see if we ever alleviate that. But in this situation, no, I don't believe that it's necessary. And I think that, again, getting back to the party system, and, we talk about civil wars, and we just talk about what just happened, last year after this election, and we darn near, I kept saying, this country is going to go into a civil war again if we keep this kind of attitude and things going on with like we say, the attack on the Capitol. Mm-hmm. There's that too much bipartisan is too much, and I just let the person win by their own merits. You get out, you campaign, you tell them who you are. And there again, the top vote getter is the winner, in my opinion. So I don't think that it's necessary in that category. But like I say, I'd like to see it eliminated in other elections too.
Yeah,
thanks, Nate.
Thanks so much for calling. It's interesting you say that because a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, time goes quick, but we had John Boyd on the show, Sheriff John Boyd, and he was saying that he thinks even more elections should be nonpartisan, including the election he ran for. He said, I don't think being a Republican or Democrat matters if you're running for sheriff, and you shouldn't have to declare your party to be the sheriff. And he named some other elections he believed as well, auditor, these kind of things. Again, what does the party really have to do with it, other than supporting candidates financially and stuff like this? So we're talking about that. Do you think school board candidates should declare political parties to run for office? The Indiana legislators are going to be discussing it, and it's on your survey, your legislative survey that should have been mailed out to you. If not, you can find it on the legislator's website. And the question that they're wanting to know is, should the legislator mandate that people have to declare political parties to run for school board elections? And so we're getting your opinion. If you've got an opinion on this, I'd love to hear from you. You can call or text the Liquor Vault on air line at 219-362-0522. That's 219-362-0522. Or you can email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. Let's get to another caller. Hey, thanks so much for calling the show today. What's your thoughts on this? Should school board elections be partisan?
Well, I was alive today at the guy was talking about Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
So I was alive at that time, and one of my buddies just passed away about a month ago. We've been buddies ever since that day. That Monday we went to school at Johnson School, and we were there when they prayed for the country.
Wow.
Anyway, I was a Democrat in them days, and ever since about 1990, became a Christian, and talked to a few Christian friends and that. They taught me how to be a Democrat, and well, I guess I'll say it like this: I'd sooner be shot than vote for a Democrat. Really, I think they've corrupted the whole country. If they caught cheating, look at that, the governor of New York and the whole Cuomo bunch.
So do you think then
Judges won't put them in judges won't judge them.
So do you think the school board should declare political allegiance then? Should they have to declare whether they're a Democrat or a Republican to run for school board?
I hope they do. I don't think they should, but if I find out they're a Democrat, I'm not going to vote for them.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it. All right. We're talking about political parties and school board elections. The legislative survey is out. And again, I want to encourage you, as Jim Pressel did on the show on Friday, fill that out. Maybe you didn't get it. It's okay. If you're in Jim Pressel's district, you can go to his website, to his legislative website, and it literally is a link that says, take my survey. And on that link, you'll see all the same questions that were mailed to you. You'll put your information in there, and you can give your opinion on it, whether or not you support some of these things. And there's other topics as well. Should the legislator ban private businesses from doing things like, should they ban private businesses from mandating the COVID-19 vaccine for their employees? Should all these kind of things are in there? So you can give your opinion to Jim Pressel, and he says, again, and I take him at his word, that the people's opinions impact how he votes. And so it helps him decide whether or not, again, he should be for or against something based on what his constituents are. So we're talking about, again, in this legislative survey, the mostly Republican, it's a supermajority, are asking Hoosiers their opinions on bills that'll be in front of the lawmakers. And one of them says this: currently, candidates are not required to identify their political affiliations when running to serve on their local school board. Would you support greater election transparency by requiring your school board candidates for those positions to declare their party affiliation in order to run for election? And we're getting your opinion on that. I'd love to hear from you. 219-362-0522. You can call or text or email soundoff@967theeagle.com. We're going to take a really quick break, and we'll be right back here on 96.7 The Eagle.
Ben Conowitz here, LaPorte Seamless Gutter, 219-362-9972. Fall is here, and that means leaves and debris for your gutter system. We've got 3 separate types of gutter guard for your home. Leaves and debris come in all shapes and sizes. We don't need a one-size-fits-all for your gutter. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 219-362-9972, or you can visit us on the web, www.lpseamless.com.
Looking for something different? Then head to the all-new Michigan City Kia during the Command the Season event. Come check out our Kia lineup, including sedans, SUVs, crossovers, hybrids, and electric models. From gas sippers to family haulers and everything in between, there's a Kia vehicle to fit every budget and lifestyle. Come in for a test drive and check out the all-new Michigan City Kia today. Or visit MichiganCityKia.com, now part of the Bob Lacurcio Auto Group.
You're going to like buying a car this way. At Menards, get your closet organized with our wide selection of closet-made closet kits. Whether your storage needs are big or small, we have the organizer for you. These closet kits are perfect for everything from hanging clothes to storing accessories. With advanced features to maximize your storage space, ClosetMate is the perfect choice for any application. Hurry in and check out all of our closet-made closet kits at Menards. Plus, a Menards gift card is always a great gift idea.
For the season's greetings to you all from Menards.
A life worth celebrating should be honored in a fashion fitting for the personality. At Haverstock, they build a service around the life story of your loved one. Here's Richard Weiss, owner of Haverstock Funeral Home.
At Haverstock Funeral Home, let me personalize your family's life story. Life celebrations can be a fisherman, a golfer, love Christmas, enjoy the casinos having our slot machine on display, a baker, car mechanic, or even an Elvis impersonator. We do it all for you to keep the memory of your loved one with you forever. Please visit our Facebook page to see what we're doing.
Haverstock Funeral Home and Cremation Service, portraying the life story of your loved one. Learn more at haverstockfuneralhome.com or stop by 602 Maple Avenue, LaPorte.
Did you know that if you go long enough without an oil change, it could cost you your car? O'Brien's Battery and Tire, your one-stop automotive center, is also the home of the Oil Change Club. And when you buy 4 oil changes, your 5th one's free. The oil changes start at just $33.33 and include oil, filter, topping off fluids, and checking over the entire vehicle. Getting your oil changed has never been easier. Call O'Brien's Battery and Tire today, 872-7878, or stop by 3782 North Wozniak Road.
Look at all the things I've collected over the years in here, Dave.
Why, Dad?
So you'll have many things to remember me by, and, I'm sure you can use it all someday.
But, Dad, I can't use all these things.
Yeah, but just think, it's all yours someday.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Dad. Is that a bumper I see buried with this stuff?
Oh, hey, I believe it's your mom's 1976 Pinto. And again, it's going to be yours someday.
Do you have things you don't need or want anymore? Are you tired of seeing things that you thought was a good idea to buy and then turn around and put it away in some corner of your garage? Well, you're in luck. At 96.7 The Eagle, we can help by reading your garage, rummage, estate, or yard sale during Tradio. All you need to do is visit hometownnewsnow.com, click on the Submit tab, and fill out the form, and we'll contact you for the payment. It's that simple. Of course, we do accept debit and credit cards for payment. So listen weekdays at 9:45 for your sale to be read live on 96.7 The Eagle, and check out the listings at hometownnewsnow.com.
We're waiting to hear from you. Dial or text 362-0522 and let us know what you think. That's 362-0522. Back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Welcome back to the show today. Glad to have you with us. So we're talking about the new Indiana legislative survey is out asking Hoosiers their opinions on bills that'll likely be in front of lawmakers in the upcoming year. One of the questions involves whether school board candidates should declare a political party affiliation to run for office. From what I could find now, there's a couple states that have this motion that they're entertaining these bills, mostly in Republican states. Most of these, I think there's only 3 states that require you to run as a party affiliation for school board. Most of them are nonpartisan. Most of them prefer to be nonpartisan so that, again, you don't have to worry and be beholden to a party to decide on something. So the survey question that's in your survey, legislative survey that you should have received, if not, go online for it. Currently, candidates are not required to identify their political affiliations when running to serve on their local school board. Would you support greater transparency by requiring candidates for these positions to declare their political affiliation? So what do you think? If you have an opinion on this, call or text the Liquor Vault on-air line at 219-362-0522 or email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. Let's get back to some callers. Hey, thanks for waiting on the line. Glad to have you listening. Glad to have you on the show. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, hey, Nate. Sorry about the second quick call here, but as Holyfield had been your first caller, I just wanted to say, he brought up a good point as far as the twofold end of this. If we don't know then we don't know who this person might be, for lack of better words, in bed with, or who they adhere to when it comes to conversation. Another thing that is an interesting conversation here, especially in Northwest Indiana and LaPorte County, maybe we should do a show on this one time. Who is a Republican and who's a Democrat? And how many times have we seen here local one go from one to the other? So you might have one come on that school board and say, well, this is what I represent. But my gosh, we've seen that now with councils and commissions and saying that this is what I'm going to represent, and then they don't. So I don't know if you're going to get transparency out of it, other than the fact, like we say, you'll know how they voted last time to give some sort of idea, but they could change their mind in a minute too. So you got to consider that. But good conversation.
Yeah, thanks so much for calling, bud. Thank you. Yeah, it is an interesting thing. My fear though is more the opposite. Being a part of a party for this makes you beholden to somebody that you weren't before. So you weren't beholden to a party when you run for school board. You should be able to make the choices that you think are the best choices. I know some school board members, and I couldn't tell you what their party affiliation is. I truly believe they're somewhat apolitical people. They don't go to party events. They don't do any of those kind of things. But if they become partisan, they have to. You have to go to all these things. You have to become more partisan, and your party chair and your party people become more, important in how you make decisions. I think that you become beholden to somebody when you make it partisan. You mentioned, our caller just mentioned different, it is interesting. I know we do a lot of interviews with people, and we could tell you off air things that are said and all these kind of things. And I could tell you there's a lot of candidates that might be Republican, but, get along with their Democratic counterparts, or Democrats that get well along. I know there are people that have switched parties. County Commissioner Rich Brzezinski used to be a Democrat. Mike Bohachik used to be a Democrat. Earl Cunningham used to be a Democrat. Mayor Dwayne Perry used to be a Democrat. They're all Republicans. I've talked to certain Republicans now that are thinking about running as Democrats in the future. It happens. Does that mean they've changed, or does it just mean that maybe they found a better way to win? I don't know. But anyway, we can have that conversation another day. Today, we're talking about school board politics, affiliations, whether or not you think the legislator should step in and create, a requirement that school board candidates declare their party affiliation to run for school board. Let's get to another caller. Hey, thanks for waiting. Glad to have you on the show today. What's your thoughts on this?
Is it me?
That's you. Glad to have you on the show.
All right. Yeah, you too. Good to listen. I love your shows. I would have to say, especially in view of the last second to the last caller, I think it would be worse to put the party affiliation on there. I don't see how it gives anyone any more clarity other than if you are one of those persons who goes strictly one way or another, then, it just gives you someone to pick. But most of those people don't even really have much interest in the school board or anyone going to school. Who knows? But I just don't see it. I think you just explained it very well. And then to go back to the whole fact is that the school boards are, and the way that our government is set up, our local school boards are supposed to be picked out of our community. And really, it would not be good for anyone, our school, our kids, or ourselves to become party aligned, really. And then people do switch parties. It depends a lot on financing more than anything, because basically people do get along and have similar views. It is unfortunate that in the last few years, the politicizing has been so bad, and I'm hoping that will tone back down.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, and then, good thing Jim stuck through that last bunch. I was a little worried about him. I grew up with him, but he turned out to be, I guess he seems to be reasonable.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I'm sure he's happy to hear that. Yeah. Well, thanks so
Yeah.
much for calling. I appreciate it. So we're talking about should candidates, Indiana legislators are debating a bill, or they're talking about a bill rather, about potentially having a bill in the legislative session coming up. It's in your legislative survey, whether or not school boards should have to run or declare a political party to run for election. So there'd probably be a primary just like there is now for that. I don't know if you know this with school board candidates. There's no primary for them. They just run in the general election because they don't have to declare a party. So they get to declare later. They don't. The political season for them isn't as long. These kind of things, and so it's allowed for, I think, some nonpartisan working together because again, there's not. The party isn't a part of it. So we're getting your opinion on this, what you think about it. 219-362-0522 or email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. Let's get back to another caller. Hey, thanks so much for calling. I appreciate you listening to the show. What's your thoughts on this?
My thoughts is no. They've politicized everything. If you wear a face mask, that's a political statement. If you get a vaccination against this plague that's sickening and killing our people, that's a political statement. So why do we want to make another one? And another thing, Nate, I don't know if you've heard it, but there are school board members who getting death threats across this nation. That's starting to become one of the most dangerous occupations to have, is to be on a school board. I don't know. To me, it's insanity. Do you agree with me on that, or have you heard any of these stories?
Yeah, and I know our local school boards in different schools have gotten pretty tense emails and things like that as well. Some you know, I don't think any death threats, but certainly the rhetoric is getting out of control. I kind of tend to agree with you that I think we should be pushing more towards nonpartisan elections for other things rather than pushing more towards partisan. So.
Exactly. I'm with you on that. Everything has become too politicized.
Yeah.
And it's making for bad government. It's making for dangerous situations for a lot of good people that shouldn't be. I've seen newscasts where people go to school board meetings and they're enraged when they get there over something like maybe having their kids wear a face mask to keep them safe when this pandemic is ebbing. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense to me. We've lost something in this country. It used to be, there was a thing called the greater good. That seems to be a thing of the past. There used to be something called common courtesy. That doesn't exist anymore either. We've become a me-first society, and the I can't even say it now. Politicization of everything is what's, I think, caused a great deal of it. I think it's tragic.
Well, thanks so much. Yeah, thanks so much for your call, buddy. All right, let's get you some other callers. One more before break. Hey, thanks so much for calling. Thanks for waiting on the line. Appreciate you being on the show. What's your thoughts on school board partisan elections?
Hey, good afternoon, Nate.
Hey, bud.
The way things are going now, I think they almost do need to declare a party when you see some of the stuff that's being taught in certain schools. And a lot of it was found from the kids being at home learning online. And until they get rid of the Democrat and Republican Party, I think they almost do need to do that. I wish they would get rid of the parties, don't get me wrong, okay? But until then, I mean, a lot of these local Democrats around here, they follow more in line with the Republican Party. But the way it all fell in, you if you weren't running as a Democrat, you weren't going to get elected. So, but I mean, what's going? The Democratic Party turned a lot more progressive. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'd like to know. Are you progressive Democrat? Are you a regular Democrat? You know, a moderate Democrat? You know, I mean. So I think it does kind of.
Well, if I can push back a little bit on there, but if they're in office and you don't know that, aren't they doing their job well then?
But see, that's because some of us don't follow the school board like we should.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, some meetings you'd probably fall asleep in, just like like the old county council and commissioners meeting used to fall asleep in, but you ain't going to do that now.
No, it's must-watch TV, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it opened a lot of people's eyes. So I think, and let's put it this way: when Michigan City existed not too long ago, we had 2 high schools. We had a lot more students. We're down to 1 high school, a lot less students. And back in the day when there was all those students in 2 high schools, there was 1 administrative building, a little small building by the old Elston High School. Now they're in an old elementary school that's humongous, and they keep adding on. I have noticed they added a couple of positions here and there this last year, and it's like they're getting too top heavy. So I think it is kind of important that we kind of pay a little bit more attention to it. So until we get rid of the Democratic and Republican Party, I think they should have to declare.
All right. Thanks so much, buddy. All right. Thanks for calling. We're going to take our final break of the day and get back to some more questions. Hey, why don't you just keep listening to 96.7 The Eagle?
Tire sale on now at both Cannon's locations. Brands like Michelin, Hankook, Hercules, and Cooper. Rebates of up to $160. Free alignment inspections, and schedule your fall tune-up, oil change, tire rotation, brake inspection, and winter-ready inspection, all for $56.02. Don't wait weeks for auto repairs. Same-day appointments available. See the experts at Cannon Automotive. 2 great locations, 710 Tyler and 909 Boyd Boulevard. Go further with Cannon's Automotive. The holiday hustle has begun. You know what I mean. Shopping for that last-minute gift, replacing that worn-out grill. Oh, don't forget to ship those presents off to the grandkids. Not to worry. Your local Cable and Ace Hardware has a variety of gifts for the holidays, and replacing that old grill couldn't be any easier. Make sure you ask about free assembly and delivery just in time for the holidays. And getting those gifts off to the grandkids couldn't be easier with UPS shipping and drop services at many locations. Visit cableandacehardware.com for more information.
Frank L. Kazai Funeral Home, Essling Chapel, serving LaPorte and surrounding communities since 1958. Essling Chapel is a full-service funeral home, offering personal, distinctive, and affordable services. Essling Chapel promises to faithfully serve your family with compassion and honor. Frank L. Kazai Funeral Home, Essling Chapel, thanks you for your trust and friendship. Please visit our informative website at esslingfuneralhome.com.
Hey, it's Joe Happel.
And Dennis Siddell.
From the Morning Mayhem on 96.7 The Eagle. Make sure to join us Wednesday morning for the big announcement about the LaPorte County Fair.
Yeah, you don't want to miss this. It's a huge announcement of the upcoming LaPorte County Fair and the entertainment for 2022. Make sure you join us after 10 a.m. right here on 96.7 The Eagle.
Michiana weather.
A wind advisory continues until 3 p.m. this afternoon. Cloudy skies expected this afternoon with a high of 33. West winds 20 to 25 miles per hour. From the Weather Center at HometownNewsNow.com. Right now, 32.
Your opinion matters. We invite you to share it by calling or texting the Liquor Ball on-air line at 362-0522. That's 362-0522. Now, back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Welcome back to our final segment of Sound Off, friends. We are talking about the new Indiana Legislative Survey. We're going to try to ask some of these questions over the next couple episodes, over the next month or so, when we have topic shows. The new Indiana Legislative Survey is out, asking Hoosiers their opinions on bills that will likely be in front of lawmakers in the upcoming year. One of the questions involves whether school board candidates should declare a political party affiliation to run for office. The survey question states, currently candidates are not required to identify their political affiliations when running to serve on their local school board. Would you support greater election transparency by requiring candidates for these positions to declare their party affiliations? Let's get to some text before we get back to our callers. Here's a text. Local government elections often do not identify candidates by their party affiliation. According to the best estimates, between 2/3 and 3/4 of all U.S. localities use nonpartisan ballots. Most school board races are nonpartisan, with some notable exceptions in states like Pennsylvania, Louisiana, and Alabama. That is true. Here's a couple more. Nate, the question we need to ask is, why is this being proposed? If the Indiana legislature was interested in transparency, they can start by making their email communications public and accessible via Freedom of Information, but they won't do that. The legislators who want to require party affiliation to run for school board benefit from the two-party system. However, many believe the two-party system is failing us as Americans and Hoosiers, and this proposal would only worsen that. One more. If candidates have to declare a party to run for school board, fewer people will run for the position. The fewer people in the pool will cost some good candidates from running. School board issues are not party issues. The issues are for the good of the students. All right, let's get to some callers. Hey, thanks for waiting on the line. What's your thoughts on this? Should school boards declare party affiliation to run for office?
Hello, Nate?
Yeah, it's you.
Oh, okay. No, it's just fine the way it is. Don't try and fix something that I don't figure is broke. And besides, if you know what you're doing when you vote, you know how those people feel, you know their affiliation or whatever. I don't think I can remember since I've been of voting age that I don't know who the person is that's running for school board in my area or whatever. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, my thing is if if you have a question about whether they believe something, ask them, right? So ask them if they believe it.
Yeah, if you know your candidates, unless you're just a blind voter and just vote, whether it's straight ticket or just say, well, I'll take teeny, meeny, miny, and then one of your other things about the threats that are being made.
Yeah,
those are all the cowards out there are using this email and the social media out there. People didn't make threats like that when they had their name on it and you knew who was saying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's amazing. We
Now you
get
can
all kinds of
hide.
anonymous stuff here to the station. People will say things, and it's crazy.
It's the same way. I don't think sound off is what it used to be, and it's absolutely not, because people that called in on sound off 10 years ago had to say their name or their nickname or whatever to Ken Cole, and then they spoke their piece. And so many people now say, well, I'm not going to talk on there because I don't want anybody to know who I am. Yeah, so they use their texting and hide. They hide behind a text. Am I right or wrong?
I don't know if they hide behind their text. I just think a lot of younger people like to text instead. But I do think a lot of people wouldn't say what they say if they knew their name was attached to it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Yep, thanks for calling, bud. All right, let's get to another caller. Hey, thanks so much for calling. You're on the show. What's your thoughts on partisan school board elections?
I'm sorry, but they have a fine program or a good program called Front Line, I think it is. I had a number I could call and see how it's doing. It's doing pretty good, but the number don't work anymore. It's an out-of-town number.
Yeah, I have no idea what that was about. You're welcome to call. What I would do is I would call the county, and if there's some kind of like Frontline Foundation or something like that, or call Tom Dermody. He answers every question. So, all right, let's get to one more caller before we're done here. You're our last caller for the day. Glad to have you with us. What's your thoughts on whether or not the state legislature should mandate school boards declare political affiliation to run for election?
Hi, Nate. This is Tommy Kolovic.
Hey, Tommy.
I agree with Bill Netzer. I think the school board election should remain nonpartisan. I think they're just fine the way they are. Instead, what I'd like to see, I think we need to have runoff elections like our neighbors Illinois have. A perfect example would be our last municipal election. We had 4 candidates for Michigan City mayor. We had Democrat Ron Muir, Republican Dwayne Perry, and 2 independents got in. Jim LaRocco and Reverend Damon Carnes. Dwayne Perry, he won the election by only a few votes. I think if we'd have had a runoff election between Ron Muir and Dwayne Perry, I think Ron Muir would have got elected to his 3rd term.
Right.
I just want to say, remember Pearl Harbor.
All right. Well, thanks so much for calling. This is about school boards, but thanks for calling, Tommy. I do agree with you that it probably shouldn't be partisan. Here's one question or one comment we got through the text line. I'll read it here because I want to make sure we get to as many as we can. More importantly than party affiliation, I would like to know what their opinion would be on CRT, cancel culture, and also how woke they are, which is completely fine. You should ask them. But don't assume that just because they're a Republican that they're racist, or just because they're a Democrat they want to make everything about race, or they believe in CRT, or just because they're a Republican they don't believe in public education, or just because they're a Democrat they don't, believe in some other thing, right? People are a lot more complicated than that. And, again, I think as voters, we need to be more aware. One of the things that one of our callers, I think, did say rightly is one of the things that having a nonpartisan election means is you have to discover the candidates. You have to decide whether or not you're going to support them. There are elections sometimes that I don't vote for any candidate because I don't know enough about them. Sometimes there's like those elections where do you want to retain a judge at the Supreme Court, and if I don't know enough about them, it's unfair for me to vote either way because I don't know. And if I wasn't able to do my research, just don't vote. It's okay. You don't have to vote for every election or every race that's running. But in the meantime, find out what you can. Vote for the person, not the party, and hold your elected officials accountable in the ways that you find most valuable. So, hey, I want to thank you so much for listening. On Friday, we're going to have author and lawyer Bill Nelson on the show. He wrote a recent book about a battle with cancer, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's going to be a fun conversation. We've got Rodney Pohl Jr. coming up here this month yet. He took over for Karen Talion. We'll be talking to him. We've got Mayor Tom Dermody on one more time before the end of the month. He'll be back on, and we'll continue to have some conversation shows. So I want to thank you so much for listening, being a part of the conversation. I appreciate you all, and keep listening to 96.7 The Eagle.
Thank you for joining us and voicing your opinion on this edition of Sound Off. The views on Sound Off are those of the host or callers and do not represent the opinion of 96.7 The Eagle,